Interpolation refers to taking a variable or some expression and showing it within our template. Let's take a look at some examples. Here we have a component, and there's a lot going on style-wise. We have a few divs and they all have classes, but we're not too concerned about that. The key thing we're going to be working with is this H3 job title right here. So for this component, what shows in the browser? I didn't expect you to figure that out unless you've seen the exercise files with the CSS rules. But we get this simple org chart element, which is a rectangle with a job title right now. It's showing the text job title, which isn't useful to us at all. So this is the common scenario for interpolation. We're going to have a property in our class, in this case called job title, and we're setting it to CEO. How do we get this value to appear in our component? We put the variable job title in double curly braces. And this is what we mean when we use the term interpolation. It means letting the Angular compiler take over and evaluate this expression for us. In this case, it's a simple variable. And to see what this looks like when we run it, we get the value CEO showing up now, instead of a literal job title. Now in this example, we're using an access modifier. We're making sure that job title is private. Can we reference a private property? Yes, we get the same result. So the template, whether it's inlined or in a separate file, is still very tightly coupled to the component in TypeScript. We can access private variables. Looking at this example, we have an actual expression here. We have the literal string job, colon, and we're using the plus symbol. So this is a string concatenation. And what shows in the browser? We get job colon CEO. So when the Angular compiler evaluates an expression here, we do have access to simple operations. Now how about this example? We're actually trying to execute some code here. We're trying to set job title equal to CFO. What shows in the browser? We get an error. It's a parser error, bindings cannot contain assignments. So interpolation is all about having read-only data. You're not able to change data in this case. You've got to just come up with some string or some object that can be converted into a string. We can't change data. And how about this example? Our expression is job title dot to lowercase. So we know job title is going to be set to CEO, but can we call a JavaScript string function on a string? Does Angular's compiler allow this? Yes, it does. We get the lowercase CEO. And in this example, we're accessing a global variable, window. We use this all the time in JavaScript. But now we're in the context of an Angular template. Can a template access a JavaScript global variable? No, it can't. We get a type error, cannot read property location of undefined. So the Angular compiler has no idea what window is. And that's a good thing. We want a component to be self-contained. We don't want it reaching outside of itself to access global variables. And how about this example? We're taking a global object, math, and we're calling a function on it, math.random. Can a template access a JavaScript global object? No. Again, we get a type error, cannot read property random of undefined. So we don't have access to JavaScript's wide array of global objects. In this example, we're calling a function, getJobTitle. We can see the function implemented here. We're simply returning this .jobTitle. Will the function execute? Yes, it will. We got our component to show up fine. And here's an example that contains a common problem. We're accessing an object, job, and we're looking at the title property of job. But if we look at our component, job is defined as an object, but it's not set to anything. And this could be a common case, because in a lot of JavaScript code, we access data asynchronously, and it might not always be available right at the start. So job is undefined here. Do we get an error? Yes, we get a type error, cannot read property title of undefined. So how do we resolve this? There's a special operator we can use in Angular expressions, and it's right here. It's a question mark and a dot. It's sometimes referred to as the safe navigation operator or the Elvis operator. It's named after Elvis because the two dots represent Elvis's eyes, and the top of the question mark refers to a swoop of hair over Elvis's forehead. So if you really stretch it, it kind of looks like Elvis. So in this case, do we get an error? No, we don't get an error, but we don't have any data, so nothing shows up in our component. But that might be fine. In a lot of cases, you'll have to wait a bit for some kind of asynchronous data event to occur before you get your data anyway. So just know that by using this operator, you won't get an error.